So now we are in the next part of the variables. So in this part, I'll be explaining you the mappings, structs, which I've already covered in my lab class. Now, mappings are basically associative arrays or key value pairs. So over here, like there are some keys like 1, 2, 3. There are keys and they map to some values, each of them. Now what happens? Each value is different and this is a perfect mapping, or you can say as a key value pair. This is the syntax how you can say. This is not showing any type, but you have to put the types. So mapping keyword, then you have the key data type. So this can be uint. Next we have an arrow. Then we have the value data type, which can be address, which can be bool, anything. And then the name of the mapping. You can put public out here, the visibility, so you can easily get a getter function. And then some points to remember, that the keys should always be of elementary types. That means it can be only uint, string and address. You can't have structs and all in the keys. Whereas in the value side, you can have structs, you can have enums, anything, all are allowed. Next, it is accessed by, you put the name of the mapping, then you put square brackets and inside it you put key, and then you give it a value. So this is how you can access it. Now let's go to struct. Struct is basically a structure of primary data types. So in a structure you have nested many data types, the primary data types. So what to do? The struct is there, put struct as keyword, then the name of the struct, then you put the first data type. So you can take it as this, as let's say uint, and then identifier, let's say uint num. Next, the second data type, so you can say address, and the name of the address, let's say add. Then you close it. So this is the structure. Now you have to, so this is basically a user defined data type. Now you have to make a variable of that data type. So you will write the name of the struct. So this is the name of the struct. It will be a data type, new data type. So now you put the variable identifier out here and you are done. You can access this values by a dot operator, which is identifier dot id1. So you can see the same example. Identifier is the name of the variable. So you can easily write identifier dot, let's say id1, which is the num, identifier dot num, and you can set it any value like equal to 4. So this is how structs work. Arrays are basically many variables of the same data type. So I have shown you the arrays in the lab, you can check out that. And just to give you a view, this is data type 1. You can choose any data type, uint, address, anything. And this, if you write n or 3 or 4, anything out here, it will be a fixed size array of n length, like n items. Next, you have the data type with only the square brackets. This is the dynamic sized array. So in this, you can have as many data types as you want. Then you have dt, and then you have a square bracket, and then you have 7. This is my mistake, I guess it should be 7. Yeah, this should be 7, dynamic sized array. So this is basically a reverse notation. If you see, so here we have 7 number of arrays. So you have 7 number of arrays, and out here you have each array having a dynamic size. So basically you are having 7 numbers of arrays like this, with each having dynamic size. You can put 3 out here. So in this, basically it is a reverse notation. So you have 7 number of arrays, and if you put 3, so each array is having 3 number of elements. And how to perform work on this? You can perform work on this in the upper part, like you just write the name, square brackets, the index. So if the array name is arr dot square brackets, the index, you can put the index as 1, equal to some value, like let's say 3. Okay. What about the dynamic size array? The dynamic size array are accessed by dot push and dot pop. So you can write it as array dot push and some value, which will insert let's say 5, which will insert 5 in the next index available. Pop will empty the last index and will give out the value if you want. So you will have to write arr dot pop. Simple. And you have also functions like length, which will give you the length of the array. Then we talk about enums. Enums are basically user defined data types and can hold limited number of items. So here you can see limited number of items it can hold. This is the basic syntax. You have the enum keyword, you have the enum name, and you have some values out here. Then you will take the enum name and the new variable name, and public is basically the visibility. So in this, basically it is like it is a key value pair which is automatically generated in the compiler. So 0 will point to this place, 1 will point to this, 2 will point to this, excuse me, and then 3 will point to this. So this is how it works. And for accessing, you should always remember you have to access it by dot. You cannot use the indexes out here, though it will return it in index, but you have to always use dot. So how can we use it? Let's say you have to write it as action choices dot let's say down. So this will give out the value of this, and you can actually initialize it in choice, the choice variable. So choice equal to action choices down. I've covered all this in the lab, so it is easy for you now.